infinity.
Hello and welcome back to Infinity War! Jared, we did it.
Oh my god, we did it.
We covered all of the films, every last one of them that existed in the MCU prior to the one we're talking about today. And so we have now, by the end of this episode, we'll have talked about every film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that means we only have one more episode after this, and that will be our ultimate episode, wherein we will finally reveal our own personal MCU rankings, and we will discuss the rankings that have been given to us by you, our fans and listeners. We have over 10 now that we have received, and it is not too late as long as you get it in before the week from this going live, basically, or just shy of a week from this going. You know what? Tweet us your list, or Facebook us your list, or in some way get us your list. And even if you don't get it to us in time, we will still take a look at it and see where it falls in relation to our fan list and also our own personal lists.
Yeah, it can be a living list. So if you update us like a month from now, I can be like, okay, well now with this ranking, here's the newest one. And
Yeah.
we'll eventually add in Infinity War because not everyone knows what to think yet.
And not everybody's seen it yet, as it has only been a week. So we will go with that. And yeah, Avengers Infinity War is definitely a thing that happened to me. I'm not necessarily certain it was an experience that I had, more that it was a thing that happened to me.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced they played the right movie.
I definitely saw the movie I thought I was going in to see, but I'm also not entirely certain that it was a movie and not just some weird experiment in making me go, fuck yeah! And then making me go, oh, fuck.
Yeah, this movie had a lot of those roller coaster moments.
This movie was a roller coaster of moments. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
we've had, all the other episodes thus far, we've discussed sort of points about casting and usually the plot and everything else. There is so much to unpack. This movie is 149 minutes long, and it feels like every one of those 2 hours and nearly a half is occupied with something.
Yeah, it just does not stop going.
No. The slowest point in the movie is probably the Scarlet Witch Vision stuff, which is 5 minutes before Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive attack them?
Yeah, that does not take long for that to go bad.
No, and even that is like, if you've been following the MCU up to this point, you realize why that is so important. That they get, that they're sneaking off together and everything else. Like, that's, like, even those dead, if you will, couple of minutes are still, like, fraught with emotion and everything else. In my mind, if this movie had a subtitle, it would probably be fraught with emotion.
That is accurate.
Straight from, like, the ship is, well, not even from the ship is, we open on a distress call.
Oh yeah,
Like bam.
Felt like a Star Wars film.
I felt bleaker than that, dude. I felt like honestly, even though it is referenced later on, it felt like Alien. It's just this bleak space experience. And it's just like, yeah, you're gonna die. Everyone is dying. And, Ebony Maw is even given his thing about, the honored, it's an honor that you will have been killed by Thanos. And it's just like one bleak moment to another. Heimdall sacrificing himself, just bamf to the end, basically. And then just the ship blows up.
Yep.
Like, just boom, boom, bam. And the Loki thing, Hulk getting his clock cleaned is impressive, because
Oh yeah.
other than Thor working very hard in Ragnarok, we haven't seen the Hulk get his clock cleaned ever. even by the Hulkbuster armor, really.
Yeah, like it, it takes a lot to take him down, and it didn't look like Thanos had to try very hard.
It's like,
Although I wonder how much of that was also because he had the Power Stone.
well,
Would
that's
him not
true.
having that kind of balance things out, maybe? Who
I mean,
knows? We may never know.
that's the thing. Thanos, we don't get to see ever really. Actually, we don't get to see ever Thanos acting without the power of at least one Infinity Stone, because the only other times we've seen him before, he was just this dark manipulating force.
Yeah, he was the Emperor from
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars, just sitting in a chair until he actually gets up and does stuff. You're like, oh, cool. He's a guy who sits.
Mm-hmm.
He's the man who sits.
The man who sits. So I have my uh I have my questions, but it's unlikely, I would imagine, that even unpowered Thanos, though, would not have at least been a fight for the Hulk, if not a match,
Yeah,
because we have the Eternals, and he's a descendant of the Eternals, and just these very powerful, again, powerful interstellar beings. So, but I don't know, it'd be tough. Either way, also wonderful, and this, we'll skip around a little bit,
oh yeah.
but as far as I'm concerned, the stuff with Thanos and young Gamora is so fantastic when he's just like, "Yep, I am doing this for a very particular reason." And like the way they keep weaving the thread of why Thanos is doing this is very big. I've actually had conversations at length about modern medical ethics with my sister, because she's studied um, global health and has interacted in third world countries, and it comes to that question of basically, just because we can keep people alive, is it worth it if we're not giving them the quality of life?
Yeah.
And that's a very like, yes, yes, this is a fictional movie. Yes, it's completely ridiculously out there. Yes, no human being would logically and realistically come to Thanos's point, but this is definitely a point that needs to be made at some point or another. Is what At what point are there too many people or too many beings?
It's
Now,
true. I mean, yeah, it's been handled in a lot of different media, but this is definitely the most popular of those.
yeah, and it's
Like,
also a very, I mean, I saw a cartoon on Facebook earlier today that said it was Thanos holding the Infinity Gauntlet, because spoilers, at the end of the movie it looks like it gets kind of destroyed by the effort of undoing half of existence, and he's holding it, and like just some kid walks up to him, or not even a kid walks up to him, kid's there, and it's just like, why not wish for the universe to be twice as big, or for there to be twice as many resources? And it's just like a deadpan of Thanos.
yeah, because it's much easier to destroy than it is to create.
Always is. Always is. But we're not nearly there yet. We don't even have, at the point we're talking about, he has 2 of the 6 Infinity Stones.
Yep.
Which, this may be my biggest problem with this movie, is the fact that it seems like at a point, it just, everything happens. Like, after the fight in New York and Scotland, where, okay, Earth kind of doesn't win, but beats the uh
Successfully defends.
yes, successfully defends against Maw, Obsidian, Midnight, and Glaive, and keeps them from getting the 2 Infinity Stones that they were sent to get. It just seems like everything after that is just Thanos wins, Thanos wins, Thanos wins, Thanos wins, Thanos wins. The last uh the last movie I can remember where the characters just lost, and you could tell by watching that they were just going to continue to lose, was The Mist, which is actually one of my favorite movies of all time because of that.
Yeah,
Like it makes my top 10 because it's so goddamn bleak.
and
And
like you keep thinking they're gonna have a little bit of luck, and things just keep getting worse, and that's exactly what happens here.
yeah, cuz it's just like, all right, well, they've gone off to space, except wait, Tony and Spider-Man are in the spaceship, so that's a problem. And and then so we've got this, so we got Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man not on Earth anymore. Everyone who's left on Earth, and this is one of the things I find interesting, um Scarlet Witch and Vision are the only real like superheroes left on Earth. Because like, Steve Rogers, super soldier, stronger than a dozen men, but still a man.
Yep.
Winter Soldier, same thing. Uh War Machine is an Iron Man, but is also still very much a man. Falcon, kind of same story. Black Widow, same story. Hulk can't Hulk anymore, so yeah, he's in Hulkbuster armor, but we
That makes him a
see,
bigger Iron Man's.
yeah, and we see how well that goes. And Black Panther, kind of same thing. Like, yeah, he's got some mystical stuff, but he's really just like he's on par with Captain America.
As we saw when they were running side by side, which was one of my favorite scenes.
Dude, that the sequence. So I'm normally not the biggest fan of enormous melee fight sequences in movies. I don't know, being a Star Wars fan, I do like enormous space battles, like dogfighting space battles, but
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of like big Lord of the Rings style, million of this on thousand of this kind of like battles like this. But damn it, this one was cool.
It was very well handled.
Especially once Scarlet Witch got involved, but that's just absolutely like, yeah, this needs to happen because she's that kind of character.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah,
just
you're
like
not wrong. Those are the only two that are there at all that can better defend than the rest.
they can interact on a level like that. And that, so when I was first thinking about it, when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, that's, that kind of stuff. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's a total plot device. Because if you had everybody there at once in the beginning, like if Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch and like Thor and the Guard, it's like if everybody was there at once, because look at how well, and boy, are we skipping around, but look at how well they did on Titan against Thanos.
Yeah.
They had a plan, but that utilized Doctor Strange and Mantis very specifically to do things, and it utilized Tony Stark's 10 years of experience as a superhero. Because that's the other thing, is like a lot of these characters haven't been superheroes for that long. We have, as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe is concerned, again, Thor is an outlier because he's not human, but um Black Widow might be the longest of any of them. And
Of the Earth based ones, yeah, just because Cap only had like a couple months before he was frozen.
yeah, and then he's only had a couple of years since he was unfrozen. So it's
Yeah.
like Black Widow, who was a Russian secret agent before Tony Stark became Iron Man, and then Tony Stark. And slight second place or slight third place there to Rhodey. And everybody else is coming in a little bit later on this. So, well, I guess Black Panther too, because he's been that trained for that his entire life. But it's still not a lot of these people have been characters or have been superheroes for a very long time. And so getting to see one of the things that felt weird when I thought about it, but then when I first saw it, but then when I thought about it, it seemed a little bit more normal, is watching Tony kick ass in the nanobot's armor, because it's just like he's moving. It almost felt like he was too good. Then I'm like, wait a minute. In real life or in cinematic real life, he's been doing this for a decade now.
Yeah.
And so
Like
he
this
would
is
be
his
pretty
life.
good. Yeah, he would be pretty good at it by now. So I thought that was pretty good. I actually thought the nanobot armor looked incredible too.
It looked very awesome.
Yeah.
Like the way they handled how it could, almost shape at will.
Yeah.
was very neat.
The Iron Spider armor was fantastic.
I loved seeing that on screen.
Yeah, I know you were a fan of the Iron Spider, so that was pretty great. And just getting to see like the sequence when they're on the outside of the ship and Tony tosses in the Iron Spider armor the first time. It's like, yeah, this is great. This is great. We're getting like this was fan service the movie, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, like it just had all the things that a lot of people wanted without forcing it down.
Mm-hmm.
It was there.
Yeah. Same as like, and there were just some things that to me just like looked cool. Like, for instance, the sequence on Nowhere, getting back to kind of going in order a little bit, when after she stabs fake Thanos, as we find out, and Thanos starts talking, and then the way the reality gem, like the red swoosh, I thought that looked incredible. It's just like the reveal that everything's on fire was so good. And then turning Drax into cubes and Mantis into boom, whatever the springs were.
Ribbons, yeah.
Yeah. And turning Star-Lord's gun into a bubble shooter was pretty great as well.
Yeah, where the hell did Thanos come up with bubbles?
Yeah.
How the hell does he know what bubbles are? That he used that twice.
It's true. Thanos was a very big, like, you don't expect whimsy with Thanos. But then again, if you think about the scene when they're on Titan and he uses the reality gem to show what Titan used to look like before it became overpopulated, he sort of alludes to the fact that they had just sort of a utopian style lifestyle. So maybe there was whimsy in young Thanos.
Maybe.
And he just was driven mad by, realizing that overpopulation was going to destroy his planet, and everybody going, "You're crazy, Thanos. This'll never happen." Cut to Titan as we see it in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And whoops, it happened. Yeah. And whoops, it happened. I will say there is a point at which I think there's too much going on in this movie at one time, and that's about now. That's like Rocket and Groot are on Nidavellir, and the rest of the Guardians are on Nowhere or heading somewhere from there. And then Gamora and Thanos have their thing that involves Nebula, but then it doesn't. And like you still have all the Earth stuff going on at that point. And this was my concern about the number of storylines they were going to have to tie up to make this movie make sense.
Yeah, they kind of diverged for a little bit, but then eventually got back. But you're right, this is the most widespread spiderwebby moment of the movie.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, okay, well, you're here. And like they handled a lot of it really well. Like the torture of Nebula sequence was incredible.
Oh, that was awful to watch, but yeah.
It was, because you could see her brain moving, and that was terrifying. Also, just, like, his ship looked amazing. I still have to wonder where he was supposed to be in the end of the first Avengers, in the credit sequence, where his throne was at that point, just in the middle of space.
Guy can have more than one throne.
True. Maybe
also, that one was a floating one, so maybe it just goes wherever he wants.
Or more accurately, the problem that they've had, it's the same problem comic books have had. They're building a narrative as they go, and mistakes get made when things get changed. Because there's definitely the part, coming up where with Rocket and Groot and Thor on Nidavellir, where it is implied that the Infinity Gauntlet has just been crafted. Because, where was Asgard? And Thor's like, Asgard was getting destroyed, and yet that just happened. So it is implied, at least slightly, that the Infinity Gauntlet was very recently constructed, and what I find out about that is Hela in Odin's vault on Asgard, passing by the Infinity Gauntlet with the thumb on the wrong side, saying, well, that's a fake, or whatever it is she says.
It just yells fake and pushes it over.
Yeah.
Like,
Small problem.
Yeah, it gets a little weird there because it's like, oh, this is a fake. Well, the glove's not a fake because it can just be made. The Infinity Stones, okay, those are fake, but you literally passed by one, but are making no mention of it.
Yeah. And on top of that, what that means is much like the axe, which was made from a mold and not really custom made or special made at least. The Infinity Gauntlet was also a design known to the dwarves of Nidvalir beforehand, which
Yeah,
raises its own questions.
that just raises further questions.
Yeah, it's like, did Thanos go to Nidvalir because he was like, hey, I heard about this glove that will channel power from gems. As it happens, I have the most powerful gems in the universe that I'm trying to find. Unrelated and going all the way back, well, related, but going all the way back to the beginning of the movie, Wong explaining the Infinity Gems or Infinity Stones was great.
Yes. Him explaining anything is always wonderful.
Wong's fantastic. Wong,
So
that's actually my pull for undoing everything that's happened up to this point is Wong getting the time stone and just reversing everything that's happened.
I mean, that's a solid pull just because there, as of right now, there's no Stephen Strange.
Yeah, so that makes Wong the Sorcerer Supreme, by the way. Default Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, well, it's because, like, there's nobody left.
Mm-hmm. So, default Sorcerer Supreme. Because I'm assuming that we would have seen him turn into bits if he was turning into bits. Because we saw the other main characters who turned into bits.
Maybe, yeah.
So, hashtag Wong for Sorcerer Supreme.
Hashtag Wong not bits.
Wong not bits. That's a good one. To get back on plot track again, the Vormir thing was a little weird just because it looked like a 90s Windows desktop when they first transported there.
Yeah, it did. Like, it was, somebody designed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
More accurately, somebody who got paid a lot of money to design that.
More accurately, a team of someone's submitted that as a design, and somebody went, "Yeah, that'll work." Which is in and of itself an entirely different issue in my mind. But then it gets weirder because who saw the Red Skull being the keeper of the Soul Stone?
No one in my theater. Especially all the people who had no idea who he was. But as soon as I heard the voice, at first it sounded like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, to go back to more Game of Thrones things.
I could see that.
Like, did they just go from Dinklage to Littlefinger? But, you know, the voice was close to his, and then it went more into the actual Red Skull voice, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, he did a really good job of this gentleman, Ross Marquand, or Marquand, did a very good job of doing a version of Hugo Weaving's Red Skull voice.
Yes, it was very Will Ferrell doing an impression of Harry Carey, and then our friends and you doing an impression of Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey.
Yes.
Like, he's not doing his own Red Skull. He's doing somebody else's Red Skull.
Yes, he's doing a good version of Hugo Weaving's Red Skull, and I thought he did a pretty good job of it. I still am not entirely in love with the idea of the Red Skull being the keeper of the Soul Stone, but it works, especially
I'm just glad
because
he ended up somewhere.
Yeah,
because we all, like I mentioned in that episode, he went somewhere. He didn't dissolve like the other people did with that got shot with the weapons made from the Space Stone.
Yeah.
He like straight up, you know, beam me up, Soul Stone.
Yeah, and so now we know he's been on Vormir for 70 years, just really upset that he can't get the Soul Stone because he's alone with no one to sacrifice.
He loves no one that's near him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
If only
reveal.
he had Zola with him. He loved Zola, I think.
Poor Arnim Zola.
Throw the TV in.
Throw the reel-to-reel tape. Uh, it
And
is.
the Soul Stone's like, I guess I can accept this.
Yeah, this doesn't have a soul, so I can't necessarily trade a soul for a soul. But Gamora's reaction to that was priceless as well. Like, ahaha, you don't love anything, ahaha. And then I have my questions about the way they've portrayed Thanos to this point, if he could actually love any of his children. But
Ah,
if the Soul Stone believed it, and thereby the person who wrote the script believed it was plausible, I'll take it.
yeah, I think they tried to build that in with, that scene in the beginning where he gives her the knife.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I love you. Here's a weapon.
Yeah.
I
Look,
mean, it's
look
okay.
away! Look away while I murder half the people in your city. That was the other weird thing, like, that I don't think actually is very fitting with his character, is the look away sequence when he's doing that. It's just like, he doesn't believe that what he's doing is in any way deplorable, wrong, or confusing. So, as far as I'm concerned, Thanos, the character, would just be like, you need to watch this because this is what needs to happen. This is correct. Let me teach you some correct shit.
Yeah.
But maybe that brings more credence to my point from before about maybe there is more to Thanos than the Mad Titan, at least the MCU's version of Thanos.
It seems like it.
So maybe we get more Thanos than we thought we did. And I thought for a performance as mired in CG as Thanos was, good job Josh Brolin, and good job the animators, and good job the motion capture technology for selling the look on his face when he throws Gamora over that cliff.
Oh yeah, like that was rough.
Yeah, that was just like, oh, okay, well, in in case anyone had any question as to his commitment to this plan, here, look at how much this seems to hurt.
Yeah.
And then to Titan, because he got his stone, so now he needs to go, assumingly, collect from Maw. Except Maw is not there.
It's true.
Maw got aliened.
But Maul did bring the time stone.
Yes, Maw did do what he was meant to do.
All Tony Stark's fault, not saying, okay, yeah, good idea, let's turn around.
Yeah.
No, let's go challenge the guy.
Let's go try to beat him on his home turf because I'm Tony Stark. And my biggest character flaw is I think I'm the smartest person alive.
We're completely split up. It's you and me, and backup that I didn't want. Yeah, we got this.
Yeah. Tony Stark. Consistent, at least, with his character flaw.
Oh, yeah. One of the most consistent in that he will always do the wrong thing at first.
Yes. And it will be based in arrogance.
No second.
Yeah. It will be based in arrogance, whatever wrong thing it is he does. It'll be based in an understanding, if you will, that he is actually the smartest person and that he is always right.
Yeah.
No matter how many times he's proven wrong.
It's true.
Very
so
strange.
yeah, the fight on Titan was so good.
It was.
I don't know if I like that fight more than I do the Wakanda fight.
I think I like the Wakanda fight more just because it involves a greater number of characters that I really like. But Doctor Strange is one of my favorite, this portrayal of Doctor Strange is one of my favorite characters going right now in the MCU. So having him be involved was pretty great.
Yeah, and just the way that he and Spider-Man, and Spider-Man in this scene, just the fact that he will not shut up is exactly what Spider-Man needs to be, and it's so good.
Spider-Man, wise ass.
He just quipping and just saying things. You're like, oh my god, it's so wonderful.
It is. It's fantastic. This kid, this Tom Holland kid, man, playing a Spider-Man that is exactly the Spider-Man that we have needed for a very long time. It turns out 3 attempts finally got us a Spider-Man who feels like comic book Spider-Man in all parts. because the previous two Spider-Mans have at various points felt like comic book Spider-Man. They've done certain things better than, the others did or whatever else, but at certain points they felt like Spider-Man. Tom Holland just feels like Spider-Man at all times.
Through and through.
Yeah. It's absolutely kind of wonderful. Very enjoyable portrayal of Spider-Man. And also, as much as it pissed me off because it was a entirely plot maneuver, I bought Star-Lord's fucking up the plan 110%.
Oh yeah, like there's no way that, like, as soon as Mantis started talking, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
She's gonna start talking and saying words, and he's going to hear them, and that's when everything is going to go wrong.
Yep. As soon
Like,
as the words happen.
he's in pain. Like he's feeling tortured. It's like, no, shut up. He's just angry Titan. That's all you got to say. Nothing else.
Leave it at that. Leave it at that. So
stupid Nebula saying, "Oh yeah, she's dead." Stop. It's everyone's fault but Star-Lord.
that's my point. That's why it felt like a damn plot device. That was annoying. I'll also say, not entirely in love with Doctor Strange's handling of giving over the Time Stone, because he says whatever he says about it needing to be done or whatever else, and then later on, once they're when they're still there and they're recuperating and everybody starts to disappear, and he's like, we're in the end game now or whatever, just say, this is how I saw it in the one future where we succeed. Like, don't quit being so British about it.
Yeah, it's like, there's no other choice. We're in the end game.
It's like, just say, hey, remember when I said I looked at 14 million and some odd versions of the future and only in one of them do we succeed? This is how that one started.
Yeah. We have to do it this way.
Because that's got to be what he meant, right? Like, he wouldn't have given it up if in the one version where we as human beings succeed against Thanos, it doesn't start with Thanos getting the full Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, absolutely not. Like, that would be one of the, like, especially with how adamant he was about saying, I don't care if it's you or even the kid, the Time Stone comes first.
Yeah, he wouldn't then give it up unless it was the one way. But instead, he just is super, like, mystical about it. It's like, dude, just fucking... Because that's not the way he's played Doctor Strange. Like, that's not... He hasn't been the, like, oh, the mysteries of the universe. It's just been like, yes, the mysteries of the universe. I'm also a doctor and a scientist. So here is an explanation for why I say, oh, the mysteries of the universe. But this was just like, I'm going to be coy and put my finger on the side of my nose and trust that Tony Stark, and more importantly, the audience, will understand.
Yeah, let's just hope Tony Stark lives, because apparently he knew all the dusting people.
Yeah, I also find exactly their who survived and who didn't a little odd.
I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, be it Wong or another method, things are going to get reversed, but probably much like the Soul Stone, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. So a lot of the characters that we didn't think would survive that did probably won't end up surviving the next Avengers.
Meanwhile, a lot of characters that have to survive but didn't, like, say, any of the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man and Black Panther, all of whom have movies coming out in the next 3 years.
Yeah, like, I mean...
like, that's the part, right? So this movie, and we're not quite at the end yet, but this movie ends with a punch to the fucking gut as you watch people just dis-a-fucking-peer, and you watch fucking, again, 16-year-old Peter Parker plead for his life while he is disappearing. All of this, you watch all of this happen, and you get punched squarely in the gut, and the wind is knocked out of you, and then cold logic goes in and goes, wait a minute. So many of those people have standalone movies to be in.
I mean, while that is true, they don't write the movies for the people that read everything that comes on the internet. So
True.
there are a lot of people who were confused and upset. Like people saying they just killed Black Panther even though he had the most successful movie just now. Okay, but you apparently have no concept of the Marvel comics
Yeah, and
because
also a lot
death
of
means
us.
almost nothing,
Death does mean also almost nothing, and
and
that's
you don't read what's coming up next.
like the sequel to Black Panther.
So there's going to be a lot of people who aren't as aware of it as we are, but us being the diehards, like the people who have read the comics and like read all of the movie websites, we're like, yeah, okay, so they just killed a bunch of Phase 4. They'll bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
People who are not even aware of the movies being called phases are just like, oh my god, what are they going to do? Like, how will they succeed in the movie? Because that's all this is to them.
That's true. I will also point out, I've misspoken. There is not actually a confirmed Black Panther sequel yet.
Not yet. The only confirmed movies are Spider-Man and Guardians,
Yes.
and the Black Widow movie that's in the works. But she survived
And
because she
even
was one of the original Avengers.
and even that's not actually confirmed.
Yeah, it's just being worked on. It's not even
yeah.
like on the slate. It's just this could come
Yeah,
out.
this is a thing that we realize people want because Wonder Woman taught us that even if DC makes it, people will go see it if
Yeah.
it's a story about a woman because they don't understand how that works. But
Yeah, I know they're currently in the search for directors,
Mhm.
but you know,
But yeah, so
hopefully
we've got
hopefully that works, and we can do another podcast on more Marvel movies about characters who deserve them.
yes, that would be interesting. So then here we are back on Earth for the final ultimate battle. We're in Wakanda. The smartest woman on the planet, who may or may not be smarter than Banner and Stark, who also happens to be a 16-year-old Wakandan girl, is going to take the Mind Stone out of Vision.
Yeah.
Banner is in the Hulkbuster armor and having a great deal of fun in the Hulkbuster armor,
Even when he falls over a giant rock.
which is fantastic. Thor, complete with Rabbit and Tree, show up. Also, wonderful moment I forgot to mention: Thor admitting he speaks Groot because it was an elective on Asgard.
Yeah, that was the most like ridiculous line that I could think of. Like when I was thinking about the movie, I was like, "What? Wait."
But Hemsworth sold it though, as far as I'm
He
concerned.
did. Like I didn't pick it up at first, but when I was trying to think about some of the moments that I really liked, and I thought about that, I was like, "Wait a fucking minute."
An elective.
Okay, did they actually make you go to like Asgardian high school? Is that a thing?
Asgard High.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And now you just imagine like Thor and Loki having ridiculous adventures in junior high.
Yeah, yeah. Or Thor and the Warriors 3.
Yeah.
Just having they're like a gang in high school. That idea makes me very happy. That fight sequence, and we talked about it a fair bit earlier, is so good. And just like it's all the superheroes doing all the superhero shit. And even like some of the non-superheroes like Okoye and M'Baku and like some real badass Wakandan shit going on.
Oh yeah, like that was so good to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so much fun.
Yeah, getting to see the Wakandans in action again so soon was really great because the large set pieces in Black Panther were very good, and so this also was very good.
And then wonderful moment of I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Yes. I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
That got a lot of laughs.
That and to go back a bit, we're doing our made up names. Well, then I'm Spider-Man.
Yes, that was another good one.
Wonderful too, because Stephen Strange, his actual name.
Yep, Doctor Strange.
Actual doctor, actually named Strange.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing our made up names. Then I'm Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah. Very, very good Spider-Man. Also, totally called the Thanos and the Time Stone to rip the stone out of Vision. Because I was just like, when Shuri didn't get it, I was just like, yeah, Thanos is gonna time stone because it controls time, and we're gonna have a Dormammu I've come to bargain moment where no matter how many times it takes him, eventually he'll get the stone from Vision. Turns out it only
Yeah,
took one, but
that we know of.
that's true. Turns out we were only
Maybe we
showed
were
one.
affected.
Yeah, or they just didn't bother to show the 12 times it didn't work. I also have the problem I've yet again had several times with uh, fantastical mind-based powers in movies, where Scarlet Witch is boring into Vision's head and trying to hold off Thanos at the same time, and then he's like mouthing things at her like "do it" and "I love you," and then she goes more powerful. If you had that, just if all it took was one, just blast it the first time. I hate that. I
Um,
hate that plot device.
no, I kind of thought of it as like she had to keep building it up because this is something that she's never tried before,
Could be
and she's
ramping
like
it up.
pushing her limits. She's like, I don't know if I can keep going before I like pass out or explode myself.
Yeah. I am also glad that we have, because I wasn't glad about this when I got out of the movie, but I am now that we have this version of Scarlet Witch and not comic book, like pure manipulation of probability Scarlet Witch, because as we have discovered in comic books over the course of especially the last 15 years or so, that is too powerful.
Yeah, because then she could have just been like, "Your hand is gonna fall off," and it would
Yeah.
have fallen off, and then nothing would have happened at
Yeah.
the end of the
Hey,
movie.
hey, guess what the probability of the Infinity Stones not existing anymore is? 1. Oh. Guess what the probability of Thanos becoming a bubble is? Also 1. Oh. It's the reason why when they did House of M, which was a Marvel or an X-Men specific event that was kicked off by or was ended by Scarlet Witch. It was a really nice panel of Scarlet Witch just going, "No more mutants," and then destroying all but 198 of the existing mutants in the world, which is another thing where even the comic books mistreated her power of probability, because if you just say mutants equals 0, then mutants would equal 0.
Yeah, and then they also made weird other rules like Wolverine isn't actually a mutant; he's some sort of lycanthrope.
Yeah, yeah, but I get it. Like you gotta work, but that's the thing, right? You have to be careful when you design these characters.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, we can have this huge, awesome thing. All right, well, what about? All right, we'll make some exceptions, and
Hmm.
then it becomes ridiculous.
Yeah,
As we're talking about comic books, it's like,
yeah.
oh,
I
this, like, it's all ridiculous. We know that, but who cares?
it is, but it's yet again it comes to the point where I'm just not entirely certain that in 1964 Stan and Jack had any idea what they were actually doing or if these characters were going to stick around. So they're like, manipulating probability. That seems like a cool power. Let's go get drunk.
Yeah, I don't think they even expected all the success that they had because they're just like, yeah, we'll just make them do this and it's fine.
Yeah,
Oh crap, we have to go back to that.
yeah. I'd also like to point out, and
All right, it's print. They'll remember.
yeah, I'd also like to point out, and part of this is because we probably will not have Stan Lee for too much longer, given some things I've been seeing in the news lately. But uh, Stan Lee was 42 years old in 1964.
Yeah, that's
1962, 63 was the main, like, the start of the big stuff that he did with Jack. 1961, like late 1961, Fantastic Four #1 was November, so he was 39 years old. I think about that sometimes because as someone who is 30 and is still creating things and like waiting for the thing he creates that may or may not take off, it is comforting to think that even Stan the Man Lee, one of the greatest creatives of the modern world, was 39 years old before his first major comic took off. Yes, he'd been working in the industry for 15 years at that point,
yeah,
but he launched the modern explosion of comics at nearly 40 years old, and that's kind of cool.
exactly. So like, we've been working in the podcasting industry for like 6 years now.
Hmm.
So, you know, there's still time for like actual people at Marvel to listen to this. Hi, Marvel.
Yeah. hi, hi, Disney
Just in case.
executives in a
Just
boardroom.
in case.
Yeah. Hello, Disney executives in a boardroom. Let's hedge our bets, right?
James Gunn, we love you. We know you somehow own Marvel now.
Gunn. James Gunn, I have loved you since Romeo and Juliet. Uh, so yes, so Thanos, and then Thor v Thanos with that axe. Also,
Oh,
because we skipped
so good.
over it, Groot making a handle for that axe was incredible.
That was one of the most touching moments because he finally put down the goddamn video game.
Yo, Teenage Groot is a motherfucking boss.
Oh man.
Teenage Groot is fantastic.
I want to know what Vin Diesel's like proper script said when he did the "I am Groot," and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, what are you?
Yeah,
Watch what you're saying."
yeah. What is the direction there on that
What
I
is
am
Groot
Groot?
actually saying? Because he has like a normal worded script.
Mm-hmm.
He just says "I am Groot" for all of them.
Yes, he
I
emotes
need to
through
know.
I am Groot. Yeah, what did that say? Uh, and then Thor just burying the fucking axe in his chest was pretty great. But Thor, you haven't been involved in a lot of the things we've learned about the Infinity Stones and the gauntlet he's wearing, so good call. Normally you kill someone by going for the chest, but in this case, he only had to be alive enough to snap his fingers.
Yeah,
Should have gone for the hand.
or the head, as Thanos suggested.
Yes, should have gone for the head. Ah,
Yeah, because there was a couple moments, like where I was like, okay, they may actually pull something off and things won't go awful.
which is what made the loss feel all the worse and yet also at the same time better.
It's like maybe when they get the gauntlet off of him on Titan, they'll maybe just take one of the stones so he won't be as powerful, and somehow they'll hold the stone away from him, and then he'll just be like, all right, well, fine, I'll go get this one, because you knew that at the end of the movie he was going to go after Steve Rogers, because too many previews, like the Steve Rogers scene where he's holding up the gauntlet, still coming.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he won't be at full power yet. That's a hope. Oh no, he has it. Okay, yep, he left. All right, fuck. And then when Thor kills him, I was like, he's got it. It's done. This will end not awfully. Oh god, he still has his hands. He's snapping.
This ended in exactly the way that I kind of expected it was going to happen.
Yep. And then he just drifts off to the soul world and talks to his adolescent dead daughter.
Yeah.
It's like, what did it cost you? Everything. Ugh, don't make me feel for Thanos.
Yeah. Well, that's when he said, today has cost me more than you could ever know. And it's just like, yeah, but, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, well,
You asked for this.
yeah, this is kind of like a thing that you did. That you did, you yourself. So,
And then the disappearings.
yep. And then the disappearings. And, Groot hurt. Like, teenage Groot hurt. Bucky, for some reason, I didn't really care. I was actually kind of hoping that Bucky would disappear, but his arm would fall off. Because
then Rocket would run over and grab it, like, I told you.
yeah.
No, they actually said that they had contemplated that, but they didn't want like him disappearing and a thud to pull away from the impact of that moment. Or maybe it was somebody saying that they didn't. That's probably why they didn't do it. But either way, that's probably why they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's so sad he's disappeared.
Yeah. And then
Oh well.
like I felt a fair bit of emotion for Scarlet Witch. I felt a fair bit of emotion for Star-Lord, Doctor Strange. But like I said earlier, Peter Parker begging for his life was some amount of damaging.
Yeah, I think the one that they most undersold was Falcon, because it was just, Rhodey looking for him, like, Sam, where are you?
As he's
And then just,
disappearing in the foreground.
I can't find Sam. Oh, other people disappeared? I think I know where Sam went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was also. But I thought while undersold, I kind of get it because it's like you got to show that this is happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the cut to New York really kind of sells it. especially
Well,
after like M'Baku walking across the field in Wakanda and just
yeah, all
watching
the
people disappear.
like so many people are disappearing.
Yeah. I give and I've said this before, I give Winston Duke a ton of credit. I think he played a truly wonderful M'Baku both times he's had a chance to, and I cannot wait to
Absolutely.
see more of him.
Yeah, he needs more screen time.
Yeah, he does a great job. I've had the Jabari tribe war call stuck in my head for like 2 days now. Oh, I'm not gonna do it though because it will probably end up being racist.
And also probably just hurt your throat.
Also, that yeah, it's a pretty intense.
We're in the middle of a podcast. Don't do that.
It is a pretty intense chant. And then the credits scene. Well, and then and then Thanos at his rest.
Yep. Thanos retiring.
Yeah,
A
Thanos
nice
at
little
his
cottage.
rest. And then Captain Marvel
Yeah,
and Sam Jackson getting the Sam Jackson line.
almost.
Yes,
So close.
mother.
So that's two MCU movies that they've ended with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, Spider-Man had after credit scene still, but Aunt
Yeah.
May yelling that was pretty great.
Mm-hmm. What I did like, but also didn't like, was the like jammed together, kit bashed beeper to get a hold of Captain Marvel.
That was awesome looking.
That was something. Also sad that both Fury and Maria Hill went.
Yeah.
Like that it was a bit much for me. But hey, we'll get Captain Marvel, and
Yes, we will.
we'll get the cool Carol Danvers Captain Marvel version with, I'm just now learning, apparently Jude Law will be playing Marvel in it.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool. Also, Lee Pace coming back as Ronan the Accuser is pretty great.
And Korath is going to be back.
I do like Jaemon Hansu.
Oh yeah. Everyone should.
I have liked Jaemon Hansu for a very long time. So I'm excited to see, that's what, 2 Marvel movies from now? Yeah, because we have Ant-Man and Wasp, which I'm not sure when that movie's supposed to take place, but
I do. I wasn't sure if we would handle it after we got done talking about Infinity War. I'll just touch on it now.
mm-hmm.
So Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to take place shortly after Civil War, much
Okay.
like Black Panther did.
Mm-hmm. So it will
obviously
be
that means
pre-Infinity War.
Yeah. We don't really know what that means as far as like the stakes in it are going to feel less, because it doesn't matter what happens at the end of the movie.
Half of these
There's a
people
good
are going to
chance
die.
Yeah. But it is said that a lot of things that happen towards the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp will lead directly into Infinity War and have not Infinity War, but lead into the 4th Avengers and have an effect on that movie. So there is reason to watch.
Oh, cool.
More than just, I really want to see it.
Yeah.
And then obviously Captain Marvel is actually her origin story, which takes place in the 90s.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
So,
shit! So that's
next-
why there's a beeper.
That's, I think, part of it. Yeah.
I have my questions though, because does that mean Brie Larson is going to play Carol Danvers over a 20-year period?
I believe that like once she gets the power, she might do some weird like, I am now nearly immortal.
Okay.
That's my guess, because I
Mhm.
don't think they'd be like, all right, we're gonna cast her for this one movie, and then when she appears as in Avengers 4, she's played by like, I don't know, Susan Sarandon.
Which wouldn't be
You
bad.
did not age well.
But yeah, these 20 years went a long way. But I like Brie Larson. I'm looking very forward to seeing what we get out of this, especially since we will also get Nick Fury and Coulson.
Friggin' Coulson.
Phil Coulson. Phil!
But that's why it takes place in the 90s. They, in fact, still aren't really good at having a TV show and a movie in the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a good chance that this Coulson will make no mention and have no real mention of anything that TV Coulson has done,
Yeah.
or
So
allude to anything that he will do in the future.
yeah, so this will be interesting. I know I talked to Max about this the other day, and I completely agree with him. Every chair is going to be filled on March 8th, especially if they do anything intelligent with the promotion of it at all, like showing the beeper.
Yeah.
Because I know there were a shitload of... I had to explain to 4 distinct people walking out of the theater what that was about. I was like, Captain Marvel, it's one of the next movies coming out. It's a superhero thing. Carol Danvers, it's a whole thing. Just,
Exactly. Yeah. So, like I mentioned before, these movies are not written for people who read anything on the internet.
or
If
who
you
know
do,
the backstory.
you'll have a better chance of understanding the in things. But if you don't, they're just meant to entertain you in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like the search for people who are like, who the hell's the purple guy at the end of Avengers? Obviously, they now know, but they didn't 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I also did not know that Michaela Schifrin, an American skier, wore a Captain Marvel ski suit for promotion for the 2018 Winter Olympics.
Yes, I remember seeing some shots of that. It was pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So we've now come to the end. Jared, what do you got for us in your little quick hits? Jared Bits.
So, Avengers Infinity War came out on April 27th of this year. So if you're listening to this when it was posted a week ago.
1 week ago, as we always planned.
So the budget is a little squiffy because I guess they're waiting on tax breaks and stuff because it's $300 to $400 million.
I think it may also just be
the most.
It may also just be how much we know has been spent.
Yeah. But the box office as of today, being the 3rd, so the day before it's released, this podcast, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
it's already made more than Thor Ragnarok. It's at 857 million.
Good God.
So there you go. That's essentially a week and a half.
Yeah.
Um,
That's amazing.
it's gonna be the top Marvel movie until the next Avengers, probably.
Yeah.
Obviously no awards yet. It just fucking came out. Stan Lee is Peter Parker's bus driver.
And he has probably my favorite line he's had since the
So good.
since the Captain America one with the suit.
Yeah.
Uh,
You guys never seen a spaceship before?
yeah. Which
that's-
asks so many questions.
Not really. He's been in New York for the past some years, and there was a lot of
true.
aliens.
That's true. 2012. I didn't think about that.
You're good. You're good. So, like, it sounded funny at first, but then you're like, oh, wait a minute. This has actually happened in New York before. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, he's so New York about it, more accurately.
Yeah, it's like, what? It's a spaceship. Come on, kids.
Yeah. Come on.
So then the Easter eggs. There's a lot.
There are a ton.
I didn't touch on all of them.
Okay.
The Red Skull, as the guard of the Soul Stone, his look really seemed to resemble Death, which in the comics is the character who's portrayed by a female version of Death that Thanos is trying to impress by killing half of the universe.
Yeah, it's a weird motivation. I'm in love with Death, and she won't give me the time of day, so I'm going to kill everyone.
Half, Eddie. Stormbreaker, Thor's new battle axe, is actually the weapon of Beta Ray Bill from the comics. Another reference to Beta Ray Bill.
They're never going to give us Beta Ray Bill because they keep putting all these little things into it.
And then Arrested Development Zone Tobias Funk as the Blue Man in the collector's collection.
Wait, he didn't actually get cut?
No, he didn't. It unfortunately wasn't actually David Cross because he was busy, but the Blue Man was in the tube.
So, all right. So I wasn't paying that close attention, but I had seen a thing that Tobias Funke was going to be in the movie because of the Arrested Development connection.
Yep.
And
he was there. I remember seeing the Blue Man, and I was like, "Oh, that looks weird," and then looking later and being like, "Oh, that's what that was supposed to be,"
Yeah, that's
because it was just some extra painted up like him. So
well,
that
I blew
didn't really
myself.
register.
That's
But
a great
yeah,
sequence from the good seasons of Arrested Development. Though, as of you hearing this, the recut season 4 of Arrested Development will also be available on Netflix. So maybe it's better than it was when it came out 5 years ago.
maybe. And then lastly, something we've touched on a lot, which is Captain Marvel's logo from on the old pager thing.
Mm-hmm.
But something interesting is that a similar device was used in Agents of Shield. That the Kree, it was in the arc where the Kree were involved, and they actually used that to contact the Kree.
Hmm.
So
Well, and
that yeah,
Marvel was a Kree, or is a
yep.
Kree, so
So that device has like actual ties to the Kree and Captain Marvel and all of that stuff already built in, but it was on TV, so it doesn't count.
that's
But
pretty
it happened.
accurate. It was on TV, but it doesn't count. Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
fantastic. Uh, well, that's pretty much it, right? We're nearly done with this whole Marvel podcast, limited series podcast idea.
I'm out of notes.
Thank you everybody for coming on this journey with us. We have one more episode proper that we're going to do that'll be our wrap up and our discussion about our rankings and sort of, I don't know, any talking points we want to hit. Who knows? I have no idea how long it's going to be. I have no idea exactly what it's going to be, but it'll be some amount of time and it'll be something and it'll be out in a week. So we'll get that going. Thank you for going along on this cinematic journey with us. We appreciate it greatly. Thank you for checking out superliminalfilms.com, though it is currently, as of this recording, still under a bit of construction. It will be back and better than ever. You can also check us out on Facebook, Duck Press, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Fruit Array, Bumble, Peach, good lord, anywhere that you are social on the internet, we are social on the internet. Say goodbye, Jared.
Goodbye, Jared.
Bye, everybody.